Hello everyone, and this is General Rage Quit, and today I'm gonna have a talk about like what do I think are the best tanks in what roles and um, like arena, battlegrounds, and that kind of stuff. So as you can see here, I'm on my Blood Dead Knight, and I'd say personally that Blood Dead Knight feels the strongest in battlegrounds purely because it has like so much self healing, and you can like grip people towards you to get them off your like important targets. Um, Considering like Monk damage has been nerfed, and that's what's always made Monk the better tank in my opinion, as I said in the Monk video as well. Um, I feel like Blood Dead Knight wins in battlegrounds because they have a little bit more survivability against burst, whereas Monk has overall high survivability in the sense of like you have like more little bits, whereas Dead Knight, if you like time everything well, your cooldowns for your defensive cooldowns are shorter cooldowns. Like Monk only has like one really big one, and then like a few little ones, whereas Dead Knight has like two or three really big ones that you can use, and you can chain them together, and then they amplify each other, and then it makes you like during that duration makes you almost impossible to kill. Whereas a Monk is still killable because it's only that stone elixir that makes you like take less damage, whereas Dead Knight can chain anti-magic shell, anti-magic zone. No, do you have zone? Let's have a look. I think yeah, you have the zone. So you can do anti-magic zone, anti-magic shell, vampiric blood, and then the bone shield talent. You can activate all of those at the same time, which makes you near impossible to kill, which is really useful for like trying like stalling people at a capture point, or like keeping yourself alive when you're a flag carrier. So this applies obviously to battlegrounds and rated battlegrounds because those are essentially the same thing, just that rated battlegrounds have a lot more coordination, and that's the main difference. So you need it's like it works both ways. It's like it's easier for them to focus you down, but it's also easier for you to say, "Hey, I'm being focused down. Help me, please." So yeah, I'd say Blood Dead Knight feels the strongest for like battlegrounds, just because of your survivability. Considering like damage is like on tanks has been like put down so much that you rather pick a tank for survivability than for damage, and therefore the Blood Dead Knight wins because Blood Dead Knight is a lot more tanky. So that said about battlegrounds, for arena it's a really close call for me between a monk and a paladin. So the thing with a monk is that you have the mobility to constantly catch up to someone. So it's like if you can pressure them, they can constantly run away. They are constantly running away, doing no damage. That said, if like because of all the DPS nerfs to tanks, you can't properly pressure like hybrid classes anymore because they would just run away, heal themselves up a little bit. You can't like continuously keep interrupting their heals. Like for example, the Shadow Priest, what I played against, it's like it was really hard to even break through the shield because of the amount of damage nerfs that tanks have had. That said, we're going to Paladin. Paladin is probably now, considering damage has been nerfed so much, Paladin is probably a little bit better because of the yeah, like your capability to keep your DPS alive. And like we're now talking about twos. It's like in threes, I'm not really sure about tanks. I guess they could work, but if you have a healer plus like a hybrid, then the tank will never ever do enough damage to kill the hybrid or like one of the DPS or the healer. You will never ever have the damage to do that. So I feel like tanks are a bit shit in 3 vs 3. It's like 2 vs 2, people tend to not play healers. Or at least like on the beta, people tend to not play healers. It's like I haven't played proper 2 vs 2 on live in ages, so I don't really know how it works there. But yeah, Paladin is just so much better at like keeping your DPS alive. And now we're purely talking about tanks, so not about anything else. You're like, hey, but this class can keep the DPS alive, but yeah, no, it's just about tanks. Um, Paladin, you can bubble, you can off heal, you can sacrifice them, you can like remove the roost from them so they can run away, like line of sight people. So yeah, I'd say properly coordinated. It's like it's kind of hard to coordinate on the base because it's like you don't really have someone you can like rely. I could find someone, but yeah, I'm a bit too lazy for that. It's like I just now it's just half assumptions, half like educated guesses. Um, from what I've experienced myself, it feels like Paladin is just good at keeping DPS alive. And if you have a good DPS with you, and you have coordination, then you probably are better off playing a Paladin. And if you don't really have that good coordination, you're like just playing for fun, like skirmishes or something, then Monk is a little bit better, because Monk in itself is the superior tank in terms of like catch up and like continuous catch up, not like, for example, the Paladin which has like the steed, and then once the steed is off cooldown, you're like, yeah. Whereas Monk can roll a lot more, and like you can like the paralyze is a lot more reliably up all the time, so you can like root someone and then they either pop their trinket or they just sit out until you're next to them. So that's really nice. And you also have then like the talented barrel which stuns as well. So you have a lot more CC than like catch up mechanics on monks to catch people. And yeah, so that's why Monk in like just hey, let's go for it is probably the better tank. And then like in coordinate, let's say protection paladin. Sadly, Demon Hunt has fallen a bit off. Like that talent where your shield doesn't dash anymore, that hurts Demon Hunter so much. It's not even funny. It's like I played like a few arenas like not recording, and I was like, oh my god, it's so painful. Especially when you play against ranged and with the kite. It's like it's just not doable anymore. You get in range and then they just root you or stun you, and then they run away, and then you leap again. But then you like after that your leap is uncool, and then you're just sitting there like, yeah, well now I'm fucked. And personally, I don't really like playing Guardian Druid and Protection Warrior. It's like, first of all, I'm not really good at playing either of them anymore. It's like I used to be good at them in PvE, but in PvP, I'll just admit I'm probably horrendous with them. It's like I can manage, but not anymore now. Now they've been nerfed so much, so that you need to have more skill to compensate for the for the fact that they've been nerfed. Yeah, it's sad that tanks have been nerfed in damage, but it's how it is, and now you have to just find the niche for tanks. And obviously you would say the niche for tanks are the battlegrounds, and I'd say yes. And then like out of all those tanks, people have asked me in the comments and I've been answering, so I'm just gonna, that's why I have this video to like talk about it and see what I feel like, because people kept asking. I feel like Blood Dead Knight there shines the most, simply because of all the survivability you can put on yourself. You can have anti-magic shell, dancing rune weapon, 40% parry against melee, anti-magic zone, vampiric blood. Your consumption is just a plain heal. It's like if you like watch my videos, you can see it's like, for me it's really natural. I've been playing Blood Dead Knight since release. It's like so much in PvE as well. So I like sometimes you just need to like really start to like pop all your cooldowns and then heal yourself. And the healing spells have like changed a little bit, like the way you heal, because what you used to do was like vampiric blood, then you spent all your runes on death strikes, then you empowered rune weapon, and then you death striked like 2 times again, and that's basically what like made you like heal like from like 0 to 100 with no problem. But now you can do it with your artifact weapon instead. So what you do is you activate vampiric blood, and then you instantly consumption. Make sure you have like max rune power as well, if possible. If not, then well, too bad. But at least one death strike. So with that vampiric blood, then consumption plus death strike, you'll probably heal like poop, like 60% easy. And that's really what keeps me alive mostly in arenas and battlegrounds. If you're like seeing me drop like a shit and then getting up again. It's like it takes a little bit of practice to do it naturally. It's like I've been playing Blood Dead Knight for way too long and way too much, so that's why it feels really natural to me. That's probably why people like watching me play Dead Knight the most. It's just because it's the class where it feels the most natural. But regardless if it feels natural or not, it's like I still feel like Blood Dead Knight is the better option in terms of survivability and like mixed survivability as well, because you can also resist magic a lot, whereas a paladin needs to have it talented on like the blessing, and a monk only like You can stagger it away, but not that like stagger is not really super efficient when you're being nuked down like crazy. And like whereas and that's more like afterwards, like trying to get rid of it. Whereas Dead Knight can deny it, and that's the main difference. And then for arena, Dead Knight lacks the mobility. That's the problem. That's why I don't consider Dead Knight a really good arena option anymore. So before they compensated with massive amounts of damage, but they don't have that anymore. And then the monk has the mobility, paladin sort of has the mobility, but paladin can also keep your DPS alive. So that's why those two classes are bad in my opinion. And like, I guess it's just how it is, and they don't want tanks to be OP, and I understand. It's like they want to be PvP sort of be for DPS, and like people outplaying themselves on DPS, not just sitting there like out sustaining someone and then just killing them eventually, or what it was before, out sustaining someone and murdering them instantly. But yeah, so I'll recap again, and this is going to be the end. Blood Dead Knight, in my opinion, the best for Battlegrounds, followed by probably Protection Paladin. I'm not really. That's like the second place. I'm a bit torn between Protection Paladin and Monk. But like Monk, Protection Paladin, and Dead Knight are like the main 3 tanks in my opinion. With considering like overall, because you have done like Monk Paladin in Arena, and then Dead Knight in Battleground. I think I see like those 3 classes for me personally are like the better ones in like the 2 different PvP categories. So yeah, I hope this gave some more clarity to people, and I hope you guys got something out of it. And I'll talk to you guys the next time.